I never thought social media could unravel my life, but the day I learned about Emily's affair through a simple Facebook notification changed everything. I was scrolling through my feed, half-heartedly checking in on friends, when a post caught my eye. It was an innocuous photo of a sunset, but the caption was what made my blood run cold with you. Every sunset feels like a new beginning. The post was tagged with Emily's name, and it was accompanied by a smiling man whose face I didn't recognize. My heart raced as I clicked on the profile. A quick glance through his photos revealed an alarming number of pictures with Emily smiling, laughing and sharing moments that should have been ours. Each image felt like a dagger, twisting deeper into my chest. I confronted her that night. "Emily, who is this guy?" I demanded, shoving my phone in her face. Her expression shifted from surprise to guilt in an instant. "Michael, I can explain," she stammered, her voice trembling. "Explain what?" "That you've been cheating on me," I spat, feeling a mixture of anger and betrayal wash over me. As she fumbled for words, I realized this was more than just a moment of weakness. It was a betrayal of everything we had built together. Our marriage, once a sanctuary of love and trust, felt like ashes beneath my feet. After she confessed, claiming it was a mistake, I felt my anger simmering just beneath the surface. I couldn't just let this slide. I needed her to understand the gravity of her actions, and I had a plan to expose the truth. I decided to create a fake social media profile to gather evidence and share it with our friends and family. Using a pseudonym, I crafted a profile for a fictional character named Mark Reynolds, a charming man who seemed to be the type Emily might be drawn to. I uploaded a few generic stock photos, making sure to look suave and relatable. Then I began to interact with Emily's posts, leaving vague but flirtatious comments that only deepened my resolve to expose her betrayal. Over the next few weeks, I watched closely as Emily continued her affair, unaware that the very man she was flirting with was actually her husband in disguise. I captured screenshots of her flirtations, sweet nothings exchanged, and plans to meet up. It felt both empowering and sinister, but I justified it as a way to reclaim my narrative. As I gathered more evidence, I began sharing it with friends and family through subtle hints on my personal profile. I started to post quotes about honesty and loyalty, directing attention toward Emily without naming names. Some friends began to ask questions, while others commented on how trust is everything in a relationship. I could see Emily growing uneasy as the tension escalated. One day, I posted a photo of a sunset similar to the one that had triggered my discovery. Underneath, I wrote, "Nothing like a sunset to remind you that some things are better left behind." The comments flooded in, and I could see Emily's friends connecting the dots. Their curiosity piqued. As the days passed, I escalated my game. I began to post screenshots of the messages I had captured, carefully cropping out any identifying details. I'd write comments like, "Sometimes the truth is hidden in plain sight." It was like watching a train wreck in slow motion, each moment building to a climax that felt inevitable. The moment of truth came on a Friday night when I hosted a casual get-together for friends. Emily arrived, blissfully unaware of the storm brewing around her. As the night wore on, I could feel the tension mounting. My friends began to whisper among themselves, stealing glances at Emily, and I could sense the questions hanging in the air. I casually brought up the topic of trust in relationships, gauging Emily's reaction. "Isn't it funny how social media can make or break a relationship?" I remarked, trying to sound nonchalant. "I've seen so many couples fall apart because of hidden truths." Emily shifted uncomfortably in her seat, her smile faltering. "It's just social media, Michael. It doesn't mean anything," she replied, her voice shaking slightly. "True, but sometimes it can expose a lot more than we realize," I said, my gaze locking with hers. The tension in the room was palpable, and I could sense that my friends were beginning to piece things together. As the evening progressed, I decided to take the plunge. I stood up and raised my glass for a toast. "To trust and honesty," I said, a smirk creeping onto my face. "And to those who forget what that means." I then turned and opened my laptop, projecting my screen onto the television. The room fell silent as the first screenshot appeared. Emily's flirty messages to Mark. Gasps erupted as the reality of her betrayal hit our friends like a tidal wave. Emily's face turned ghostly pale, and I watched her crumble as the evidence piled up on the screen. "What is this?" she shouted, desperation lacing her voice. "You've got to be kidding me." "Just sharing the truth, Emily," I replied coolly, my heart racing. "Seems like the truth was hiding in plain sight all along." As I continued scrolling through the messages, I could see our friends' expressions shift from shock to disbelief. "Emily, how could you?" one of our mutual friends exclaimed, her voice shaking. "Please let me explain," Emily cried, tears streaming down her cheeks. "I never wanted this to come out like this." "Too late for explanations," I shot back. "You made your choice, and now you have to face the consequences." The confrontation escalated as emotions boiled over. Friends chimed in, some supporting me while others tried to defend Emily, insisting that there must have been more to the story. But the evidence was undeniable, and the atmosphere grew electric with tension. "You can't just ruin my life because of a mistake," Emily screamed, her voice echoing in the room. "A mistake? This isn't just a mistake, Emily. It's a betrayal," I shot back. "You think this is just going to go away? You're going to have to face what you've done." As the night unfolded, the room filled with heated discussions, accusations, and tears. Emily stood at the center, facing the fallout of her actions, while I watched with a mix of satisfaction and heartbreak. In the days that followed, the fallout was relentless. Our social circles splintered as friends took sides, some supporting my decision to expose Emily, while others condemned my tactics. I felt a bittersweet victory, but I also knew that I had lost something precious in the process. Emily tried reaching out to me, begging for forgiveness, claiming that she had been unhappy and made a foolish choice. I was torn. Part of me wanted to believe that we could salvage something, but another part of me knew that trust had been irrevocably shattered. As the dust settled, I reflected on what had transpired. I had fought back against the betrayal in a way that had made me feel powerful, but I also realized that the consequences were far-reaching. I had lost not just my wife but the love we had built together. Ultimately, I chose to move forward, focusing on rebuilding my life and finding healing in the aftermath of the chaos. I learned to embrace the support of friends who had stood by me through the turmoil. The experience taught me the importance of honesty, not just in relationships but in life itself. In the end, I realized that while I could expose the truth, the real challenge lay in moving on from the hurt. I took the lessons I had learned and channeled them into my personal growth, vowing never to let betrayal define me again.